Once a month, we give farmers and growers a ring around the motu to see what's been happening on farm. I spoke to some of those worst hit by weather this year. First, we have Hawke's Bay's Federated Farmers President, Jim Galloway, sharing how his 2024 was.
We started out like we were still quite damp in the very start of the year, but then we had a dry autumn, just due to the weather for a start. Dry autumn, so that lasted until sort of winter. Then we had good rain in the winter, and then we've had a very, very dry August through till now.
This last week had a fair bit of rain.
While areas had a lot, they've had 150 in most places up there. They've had 100 plus sort of thing, and Gisborne's had quite good rain, but Hawke's Bay itself hasn't had a lot.
So rain might still be on a lot of farmers' Christmas wish lists this year.
Absolutely. Decent rain. Like we've just got this dribbly stuff where it's wet enough to put your wet weather gear on, but not really wet enough to do any good. So we're just getting that and full cloud cover. And I've actually got a jersey on, the first time I've had a jersey on for quite some time, because it's been hot up until in the last month, up until now.
What is it that you think most farmers will be hoping to see next year and over the rest of the summer?
Drop in interest rates and autumn rain. Last year was a dry autumn, and 2019-20 drought, there was a very dry autumn and went right through to sort of late May before we got any rain, or June before we got any decent rain. So if we could get a normal summer dry and then an autumn rain sort of, I don't know, March or something like that, and then we can build up some feed for the winter, that would certainly be on most people's list that I've been talking to.
And what about yourself for Christmas? What are you up to this festive season?
Just a quiet one around home. Our son will be up for a day or two or over Christmas. So, yeah, just a quiet one. Later on in January, we've got to go up to Taranaki for a little bit, but that's the break at this point.
That was Jim Galloway from Hawke's Bay. It's also been a dry year for farmers in Canterbury, especially in Hurunui.
I'm Andy Fox, and I farm in the Scargill Valley, which is about an hour's drive north of Christchurch. And we farm 5,000 Romney cross ewes and 250 Hereford Angus cross cattle, and probably, just at the moment, probably about 5,000 rabbits.
Oh dear. What can you tell me about the year that was 2024? How's it been for you guys down there?
2024 certainly hasn't been the easiest year. We had very little autumn growth, which meant that our autumn/winter green feed crops didn't amount to much. So we had to sell our calves at weaning. We usually winter them through. We also had to carry graze off our hoggets / tutus now to be grazed on someone else's farm further south, so that incurred quite a lot of expense. After having a little scary start to the spring, we have had a little rain now, and we're looking forward to some more rain. My best Christmas present would be 100 mils of rain, warm, steady rain on Christmas Day, but that might not meet with the expectations of some of the urban listeners.
Earlier in the year, you had an event to try and support some of the farmers battling some of the similar conditions you'd been facing. Can you tell me a little bit about how the Foxdown event went?
Yes, we had a farm break in early September, and so we had Ben Hurley, the comedian, came up, and we ended up with over 300 people coming. And it's just a chance for farmers to get off farm and connect, forget about their issues for a little while. And one of the most therapeutic things that we've discovered is that knowing you're not the only person going through the same thing. And so whilst we pay for entertainment and Ben Hurley hit the mark perfectly, probably the best part of the evening is the opportunity to chat with other farmers and other people, and we often see neighbours catching up with neighbours, and also people catching up with friends, and also people meeting new friends or new farmers from the district that they haven't met before.
Sounds lovely. And obviously Christmas time is another perfect chance for friends and family to get together. What are your plans for the holiday season?
We have 3 boys, and 2 of them are in the UK. So my son Tim has a job up in Gisborne. He's just been promoted, so he can't leave. So Kath and I are heading up to Gisborne for Christmas. We head away on Saturday, and we will be up there for 7 days. It's kind of nice to get off farm. It's very hard when you live at your place of work to relax. At the same time, there's always stuff that needs doing. So it's nice to have an opportunity to get away. I've got a very capable stock manager who's going to look after things over Christmas, and then we're coming back on the 27th, and Max being 24 years old, New Year's Eve is really important to him, so he's having a holiday over the New Year period.
Andy Fox in Canterbury I was speaking to there. It's been a different story for Southland dairy farmer John Pemberton, where the region was hit with heavy rain that left paddocks sodden for most of the year.
John Pemberton, we are farming with my wife and 3 school-aged children, are farming 2 properties either side of Edendale and Southland, dairy farming, about 1,200 cows.
How's your 2024 been this year?
I think if you asked most farmers in Southland, they would say it's one that they will always remember, but they'd rather forget.
Southland this year, you've really been hit with wet weather non-stop,
Yes,
really.
yeah. So like we've had much bigger storms like your 2010 and such like. But what we've had is continual rain. Like, you're trying to think back, when was the last time we didn't have rain? When we got into the back half of August, September, October and November were really challenging months. And this is on the back of a very wet autumn. We had a little bit of a reprieve for about 3 weeks in the middle of winter, but we were feeling pretty beaten up by the time we got to the end of last season. I guess the vulnerability of continual rain showed us that there's some challenges in Southland, and my understanding there's going to be a lot more concrete poured this year, but trying to find somebody still farming who could remember a season like it was quite hard work. So a lot of us would like to think we don't see another spring like it. It was just relentless, and people were just having to go to plan, you plan A, B and C for the spring, but we were up to Z by the end of it. Dairy prices are certainly easing that pain for us, although a lot of it's just gone back into costs. We've grown about 25 to 30% less grass to date, so everybody's feed budgets, pretty much everyone's spent all their board-in feed budgets for the year, and those that didn't have board-in feed budgets have just had to spend anyway. Sun's out now. It's good. We're catching up on tractor work. It's a pretty tight window for getting things done by Christmas. We're all about 6 weeks behind. Contractors are under the pump. Machinery's probably had quite a hard time for the farmers. The contractors haven't done too much work. They won't have the hours on the machine that they normally have by this time of year, but certainly the farm vehicles have had quite a hard time with the conditions they've been operating in. So everyone's well and truly looking forward to a Christmas break. And yeah, I think everyone's just looking for a bit of stability, whether it be pricing, regulation or the weather really.
Are you going to get much of a chance to have a break? Are you on farm, off farm this year?
We've got a little bit of time off over Christmas. We've got some other family trips coming up later in the year, so we're sort of just having to knuckle down a little bit in that space and make sure that we're set up well for us to be off farm at a later date. So from what I can sort of hear, most people are making it happen, and I think people are making sure they've got plenty of staff around so that the staff are looked after well at the same time too. So everyone's sort of pulled together through the tough spring, and it's been quite good to see here everyone's standing back a little bit and not being too focused just on themselves, which is how we get stronger communities. Last year we went boating on the Queenstown Lake on the Wakatipu on the Christmas Day, and it was really good, all the cousins together, no big stress of a big meal and the lake to ourselves, because everyone's at home having the big Christmas lunch. So we're going to try and do something similar on Lake Hawea this summer with all the cousins together and the grandparents.
John Pemberton in Southland. The year has ended on a brighter note in terms of prices, with dairy and red meat both looking up.